Hey guys, Zach here, and welcome back to another action figure review, and today we'll be taking a look at the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom Battle Damage Blue. Now, we're finally caught up with all the Jurassic Park figures, kind of. I did all of my reviews for, at least out of the figures I own, I reviewed all of the Jurassic Park figures, I reviewed all of the Lost World figures. I kind of did the Jurassic Park 3 toy line. I kind of cheated a little because most of those figures were just repaints of, figures from Jurassic Park 3. I kind of cheated, but I guess that kind of counts. I did some videos on the Jurassic World toy line. I didn't review everything because, honestly, I really didn't want to waste my time with those figures because those, out of the ones I reviewed, those ones were the best, and even then they were still not good. And now, we're finally up to Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. But I still have some things to review. I still have to review the Legos, and I have to review some of the Dino Rival figures that I have. I don't have a lot, I mainly have two, but that might change in the future, but yeah. Anyway, as of now, we're finally at Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. After a year later, actually. It's actually been a year since these figures have been out. Over a year, when I upload this, but yeah. If you really want to know my thoughts on this toy line, then I'd suggest looking at Matthew Brando's video. A lot of the things he said in that video I agree with. Some things I don't agree with, but for the most part I agree with a lot of the things that he said. So, yeah. Anyway, if you want to know my thoughts, check out his video. So, yeah. Anyway, with all that out of the way, let's take a look at the painting on this figure. And the painting on this figure is actually pretty good. So, most of the figure is this grayish color, with the blue streak going down the side of her face all the way to her tail. And something I really like here, or a couple things. I like how the blue streak is actually outlined with a bit of white, which is accurate to the movie, so I really do like that. But something else I really like, on this side there's blue around her eye, well on this side there isn't. At first I thought it was just a mess up on mine, but no, that's intentional, and I feel like that this gives, it gives this figure a lot of character, so I like that a lot. But anyway, the inside of the mouth is painted not great. The teeth, I think, look pretty bad. They're a bonish, whitish color, which, again, I could definitely live without. And the tongue and membranes are painted a pinkish color, which looks nice. The eyes are painted orange with black pupils. The toenails and the sickled claws on each foot are painted a very dark shade of gray. However, the claws aren't, which is kind of a shame, but whatever. The underside is painted the same color as the teeth. And the battle damage is painted red, which looks pretty good. And as you've seen the underside of the figure, you might have noticed this thing. So, instead of the traditional JP logos on the side of their leg right here, instead what we have is this scan thing, where if you have your phone and just download the Jurassic World Fact app, you could just scan this in and you can have that dinosaur on your phone, which I haven't tried, so I wouldn't know anything about, but I feel like that'd be cool for kids, and I feel like kids, I was going to say would like it, but this figure's been out for like a year, so yeah, it's kind of too late for that, but yeah. Also, we do kind of have a Jurassic Park logo right here, so I guess that kind of counts, but nothing will ever beat the JP logo on the side of the leg. But that's just me. And that about does it for the painting on this figure. And the painting on this figure, pretty good. The standard for, a kid's toy. Not great, but again, I feel like the painting here works a lot, so yeah. There are some spots where there could have been a little bit more care, but for the most part, the painting on this figure is actually pretty good, so the paint gets a pass. Now we'll take a look at the articulation, and again, the articulation on this figure is actually very good. So, starting off with the head can twist 360, she can look down and up, the mouth can open, and the arms can move 360, and they can open outwards. The legs can move about that much each. However, they kind of snap into place if you try to move them again. I don't know if you can hear that, but yeah, that happens. And if we, I almost forgot, the legs can move inwards and outwards, which I actually really like. I actually think that's a pretty nice touch. And if we push this, we reveal the battle damage. So, yeah. And that about does it for the articulation on this figure. And honestly, for what it is, the articulation here is actually very good. So, the articulation gets a pass. Now take a look at the sculpt. And the sculpt on this figure, again, looks very nice. There are some minor things I don't like about the sculpt, but that doesn't really affect it at all. I still think the sculpt is great. I guess one thing to point out, the feet are a little bit too big, but I can honestly live with this. And I know when this came out, or when these figures came out last year, a lot of people were kind of against that, but looking at this figure, that honestly doesn't bother me, so yeah. I guess the one thing I do dislike about the sculpt would be this little thing right here. Now this is mainly for the battle damage gimmick, which I understand, so kids can kind of grab that and move it upwards. And I get that, but it does kind of take away from the sculpt. So, because it just looks like she has a tumor on her back, so yeah. I feel like they could have done something a little bit better, but it's not terrible. I can live with that too. But yeah, other than that, the sculpting here looks great, and this looks a lot like a traditional Jurassic Park Raptor. Unlike with Hasbro's figures, but that's a completely different story. We're past that point now. But yeah, anyway, that's about it for the sculpt. And the sculpting here, again, is pretty good, so it gets a pass. Now take a look at the detailing, and the detailing, again, not bad. So taking a look at the head, we have some minor scaling going on her snout right there, which looks okay. And the nostrils are detailed pretty nicely. If we open up her mouth, her tongue is detailed kind of weirdly, and the membranes here look decent. The side of her face looks pretty good, and all the creasing going down her neck looks pretty good as well. And that creasing continues all the way through the body. The arms are detailed very nicely. All the musculature and whatnot looks very nice. And the claws look very good as well. Going down to the legs here, the creases and all the musculature looks very nice. And even the feet look pretty good. And all the toes there, and even the dew claw right here is sculpted pretty nicely. The detailing for the battle damage, sorry, that's something I forgot to point out. These aren't called dino damage figures anymore, they're just battle damage. And the reason why that is because Hasbro kind of owns the rights to dino damage, so Mattel can't really call this dino damage anymore, so yeah. I could be wrong about that, but that's just my theory. But anyway, the detailing here doesn't look too bad. We have some scratch marks and whatnot, and again, it looks nice. And we have more creasing and musculature in the tail, which again, looks nice. So, yeah. And that about does it for the detailing on this figure. And the detailing here, not great, but still pretty good. So, yeah, the detailing here gets a pass. So, at the end of the day, should you get this, whether you're a collector or a kid who just wants a good figure of Velociraptor Blue, I feel like this figure is pretty good for both. This figure, I feel like, would look nice sitting on a shelf, but if a kid wanted to play with this as well, I feel like that, this would be pretty good for a kid. So, yeah. This is actually in my opinion, the best Raptor figure out of any of the other Raptor figures that Mattel made. They released the, Pack Attack, I think it's called, or Attack Pack Blue, which isn't as great as this. There was the there was the Story Pack Blue, which was also not as good as this. This, I feel like, does a great job of not just capturing Blue's likability, but being a good Jurassic Park Raptor, so I like this a lot. And I know I said in this, wow, I am just stuttering today. I know I said in the past that I'm not the biggest fan of Blue. However, I will still say that this figure is still very nice. So, yeah. If you want this figure, this is a Walmart exclusive. So, if you do find this in Walmart, you're going to have to pay about, 10 or so bucks, maybe 12 bucks, which honestly isn't bad for what you're paying for. This is actually a very nice figure. So, yeah. This figure is really good for a Mattel figure. So, anyway, if you want to know how big she is, here she is next to Dr. Billy Grant. And I think these two scale up very nicely together. Granted, the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom human figures are more in Dr. Billy Grant's scale. I would have preferred a 4-inch scale, but this works too, so yeah. Anyway, there they both are. And that is it for today. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next video. Peace, Zach out.